So guys, if you remember a couple years ago when Michelle Obama was in office with her husband, she changed up the foods at school so that they can taste better and be healthier, even though they ended up being nastier, and it seems like a little still on the unhealthy side. And then when Joe Biden was with Joe Biden as president, honestly, I didn't even know that that was his wife until he got out of office and she ended up writing a book or something like that. I'm pretty sure she's a lawyer. But now we have Melania Trump that is back again. First presidency, she did absolutely nothing. It doesn't seem like she was doing too much besides just being there, people chastising her for being an immigrant as well. But now it seems like she is going head on, spearheading the idea of AI in school. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Big Blue. This is your channel where we find the truth, seek understanding, and be the light. So this is actually interesting and a bit concerning. You know, everybody's talking about end times, how we are in the end times. This is the end times right now. All the signs that we're seeing, it's right now. Well, first and foremost, before we even get to our segment, concerning the end times, I know there's a lot of signs and stuff that's going on, but let's just remember what the scripture says. This is Matthew 24. Let's go to verse 36. But concerning the day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only. As were the days of Noah, so will the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving marriage until the day when Noah entered the ark, and they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. So guys, we must always remember that even though the signs of everything that's happening right now, the craziness, the AI, the robots, the wars, the technology, the world giving in, what we saw as what the world sees as good to be evil and evil to be good, we still don't know when Jesus is going to return. So all this stuff may come in passing. We never know. It's happened. There's nothing new that's under the sun so far. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get into the video that's interesting. So apparently First Lady Trump delivers remarks about AI literacy. Let's go ahead and take a look. As always, if you guys like this type of content, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let's just go ahead and get right into it.
Melania Trump, First Lady of the United States, is passionate about AI and education. She's leading the White House Task Force on AI and Education. Her efforts include launching the Presidential AI Challenge for K-12 students. AI also plays a role across her work, from entrepreneurial initiatives and an audiobook to an upcoming film. And now, she's teaming up with Zoom to bring her enthusiasm, advocacy, and dedication to empowering and protecting kids so that they can grow up and be tomorrow's leaders. And Zoom ahead.
Interesting. This was back in January 16th, so this was 2 months ago. Technical difficulties.
Powered by artificial intelligence, where one's curiosity can be satisfied almost magically in seconds. You are fortunate to have the capability to fulfill your dreams through the power of learning, with AI serving as the primary engine for creative exploration. History reminds us that curiosity is the driving force behind every great achievement. The world's greatest minds, our writers, architects, scientists, and painters, all had endless interest about human nature, and they all questioned that which was yet to be answered. Are you ready to produce your own movie? Do you want to build the next dress to impress empire? Have you ever wondered how to become the next master artist?
You know what's crazy? This video itself, oh, I'm pretty sure this video itself is AI generated. Look at the way that she looks. You see how she looks, and for some reason it seems like she's popping out more than the background. The quality of front versus back here is a little higher, it seems like. And even then, like I said before in my previous videos, when it comes to AI, if there's something that's not in 4K, it's more than likely AI. And we're actually going to show, hold on. This is the next video that we're going to watch in regards to an AI robot. We'll get to that in a second. But see how the quality is very much different than this with the camera right in front of her. So this in of itself, I guess, is a demonstration of AI generation when it comes to being able to create. And yes, we can do this now. I mean, of course, you're going to have to cost some type of money because there's really nothing in America that's like free. Nothing that can really truly benefit you is going to be free. The only thing that's free is accepting Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. That gift is salvation. That's the only thing that's free. That's 100% free. So going back into this, her whole mindset, her whole spiel that she's giving now and that she's pushing for is AI in schools, children being able to learn AI, utilize AI. My issue with that is that I am not a fan of children, especially children in the elementary schools, using AI. I'm not, because they could just come up with absolutely anything, which is creativity. Yeah, you can say that. But at the same time, it takes away the ability to even know how to gain a certain type of skill. And here's exactly how I'm going to explain that. So when you're in school, there's a high difference between me, or let me even say that. There's a high difference between me at work versus my coworkers at work who's been working in IT since like the 80s. They've been doing this for a minute. They've been working with computers back when there was no ChatGPT, back when there was no Google, when they actually had to learn everything. So now that these technologies are out, some of them, they're like, I don't want to use it. I'll just leave it alone. But then the others that excel, they're the ones that utilize the tool to help enhance what it is that they already know, what they're already experts at, to then decrease the time and increase accuracy in the work that they perform. That's how you utilize a tool. AI should be a tool. Hence, which is why I'm okay with students learning this stuff later on when they're like junior, senior year in high school and then going into college. But if you do any earlier than that, then the students become dependent on this, and then it does the work for them. It enables them, and they don't learn from that. So this whole idea of bringing in AI this early on, I'm not for it. I'm really not. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go into the next video where you saw Sunny from iRobot, which it honestly really wasn't Sunny, but let's check it out. So here we actually have a robot, an AI robot that's here, that's walking, that's present with Melania Trump. And as you can see, it seems like they're supposed to be in sync to some degree. She's trying to keep up. If you look at her face, you could tell that maybe he wasn't supposed to go ahead. Maybe he was. Who knows? Scanning everybody's faces.
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Yokoso. Bienvenue. Bem-vindos. Ahlan wa sahlan. Shagatam. Mogisalmabit. Bruchim Abaim. Laskavo prossimo. Dobrodošli. Thank you.
Okay, so as we see here, I don't think there's really much that was said afterwards. Yeah, it kind of walks off, which is great. So we're at a summit. We're talking about education, the future of humanity, and AI and robots. Literally, iRobot is closer than we think. I think iRobot is closer than Jesus coming back than we think. It's crazy, y'all. This is the future. We are here. And every time when they talk about, things coming that's going to affect the world as far as technology, we're not moving at the pace that we did back in the day in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 40s, where literally in the 40s we had black and white. It wasn't that long ago. And now we're here drastically making these changes to where we have robots that are now coming in and introducing themselves for a presidential, first lady presidential meeting. And when we look at these things, it's like, that was quick, but here we are. I did a video not too long ago when we were talking about flying cars. That's probably going to be a thing fairly soon. These AI robots, I'm starting to learn about AI, and when it comes to machine learning and when it comes to like deep learning, there's a lot of issues that can come out of it if we're not careful. But this is going to be another interesting thing. So apparently in Chicago, guys, they are opening up a school that is completely AI powered. A couple of teachers here, but the AI is the teacher. And this is interesting. But let's go ahead and, of course, jump right into that.
This is something I have never heard of. So a school is going to be completely AI with no teachers, and it's opening up in Chicago. Who are the students? They must be geniuses.
They're recruiting students right now. The students are people whose parents can afford $55,000 a year in tuition. I'll just say that for this private school. But this is a fascinating story on so many different levels. It's going to be called Alpha Schools. And Alpha Schools is a private school. I don't want to call it a chain, but it's a group of schools that exist in other states, formed out of Austin, Texas. And here's how the day works for these students. K through 8 right now, but eventually they want to make it K through 12. They do essentially all the core academic learning in 2 hours in those booths with AI. And it's very personalized. They interact with the AI. They learn their core subjects, reading, writing, arithmetic, and all the things that we learn. And then the rest of the day is left open to workshops, to entrepreneurial stuff, even for kids as young as 2nd and 3rd grade, business stuff, some arts as well. And that's where they really get their collaboration with other students and problem-solving skills in. No teachers. They are hiring, the school is currently. It's going to be downtown. They would love if you have a teaching background, but you don't have to have one. You have to have a bachelor's degree, but you don't have to have any educational experience or even a degree in education.
They just need a babysitter to make sure that everything is functioning properly and that the AI doesn't get too wild and that the students don't, crash out.
Because it's the AI doing the core learning with the student, and then it opens up the rest of the day. Look, AI is coming to our schools in one way or another. There's no doubt about it. Will teachers be okay essentially saying take over computers? Probably not. There's going to be, obviously this is a private school. They can kind of do what they want here.
Yeah, the more that this increases, the less teacher jobs that will be available, which honestly, there's a shortage in teachers anyways. So I don't know, this may be ideal. But again, you have teachers that want to be teachers, that want to help raise the next generation, and have robots do that. Sheesh.
Versus the public schools. But I do find it to be a fascinating discussion on where we're going with AI, its capabilities, and how much the education experience is going to embrace this stuff.
I'm all about, technology and teaching our kids advanced learning, like things that we obviously didn't get an education on. My only thing that comes to mind right away is, I know, and I've talked to Gabby about this, and I'm sure you will encounter this too as a parent, that when it's time to get your kids into school, even preschool now, especially if they're not going to a public school, it's like applying for college. And so in a lot of instances, they want your kids to write, right? They want them to even do little essays starting in like kindergarten and things like that. I just don't see how you'll be able to even write your name and things like that if a good portion of that educational component is on the computer. And in fact, I talked to a principal about this, and this is a big issue that they're having as classrooms become more technologically savvy and kids are on iPads and computers. Kids don't know how to write. They don't know how to do a 5 + 5 = 10. And so I just don't know if that becomes a problem later in life. I love the concept. I love the concept of a second grader being able to create a business that could be sustainable, maybe even for the rest of their lives, and start thinking about that. But some practicality you still need. You still may need one day to write your name.
I have this debate all the time with my listeners on the radio because I'm someone who still took penmanship, right? And I now argue that was an hour a day or however long it was, completely wasted. What do we care if kids know cursive, right? This is not the way of the future.
When I'm writing, depending on how long I'm writing, how long I've been writing, I will fall into cursive in some of my words, in some of my letters. But would that say, I would say that I'm definitely using that more than E = MC². I'll definitely say that. I'll definitely say I'm using that more than the Pythagorean theorem. I'll definitely say that. Am I using it as much as like just regular writing? No, but I think there's a lot of schools that can be switched. A lot in schools in which our methods of learning or the curriculums that they're teaching us, we can fill that in with something more productive in the world, especially seeing how it seems like the higher class, which I'll get to in a second, the higher class seems to be so far ahead that the lower class are struggling to survive, struggling to keep jobs, struggling to be efficient. And there's a lot of jobs that may not pay as much as whatever the middle class is now or the higher class. But the thing is, when we teach these regular, normal type skills, which are honestly high-ended skills when it comes to financial freedom, understanding taxes, understanding how money works, understanding, just regular things that the Bible teaches, then it becomes easier to live, to be an adult and be sufficient with what it is that you have, as opposed to these people that ain't making no money, but that's out here buying this, that, and the third because that's what society tells them to do. But let's keep going.
Well, why are kindergartners writing out essays anyways? I'm going to get a lot of pushback. I'm sure your viewers will disagree with me too. And a lot of people point to there is some skill and important brain maneuvers happening when you're writing things down, and no doubt. But is that the way of the future, right?
Is that the way of the future? Let's say if I forget my phone. So what essentially is happening, that technology is just going to be everywhere to where you don't have to think, is what I'm hearing. You see my watch? I don't know if you see, but that's regular clock. That's a regular, I was going to say analog clock, but essentially an analog clock. It's digital, but it's not just numbers, because I can look at it and it helps me build up my sharpness, that I can see that it is almost 6:45. So 6:44, 6:43. Now it's 6:43. But being able to just look at my watch and do that helps me build or maintain whatever sharpness that I have with looking at something and understanding what it is that I'm looking at quickly, as opposed to just looking and seeing the numbers, and then now all I need to do is know the numbers. Whereas in some cases, depending on where you're at, you just say, hey, Google, what time is it? And then it will tell you. So at that point, do you even need to know numbers to understand? Well, you could just ask Google to do everything with you. That's essentially the route that we're talking about, right? Because why wouldn't it go in that direction? There's a lot of flaws into this mindset. And yes, we can say that it's the future, but I don't like the way that this future is going. It literally reminds me, I think we've heard enough from here. It literally reminds me of the movie WALL-E, where we're just fat, we're sitting in our chairs, and we don't have to get up and move because everything will just be provided to us. We can levitate ourselves over there in whatever machine that we can do, and we just communicate through some screen. We don't need to worry about anything because everything is done without our knowledge of it, because AI is doing everything on the back end. So then how do we work? The issues with AI now is you know, we're getting to a point where people say it's going to be a while before AI takes up a lot of these jobs. I don't know. The advancement is happening very quickly, and I think it may be sooner than a lot of people propose. But once those jobs are taken, what are people going to do at that point? When these robots are out here taking up a lot of people's jobs, a lot of blue collar, even now white collar jobs, what are the people going to be doing? How are they going to make money? How are they going to survive? What does that look like in the future? It's interesting stuff, guys. It's interesting stuff. Is it a little terrifying? I mean, yeah, a little bit. But as always, at the end of the day, my God will keep me and he will provide for me whatever it is that I need. I'm going to just keep doing what I need to in order to fulfill my will or to fulfill my purpose here on earth. You guys will let me know in the comment section what y'all think. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.